Hey, welcome back to another Willow's Vintage Homestead. I showed this sewing machine in a previous video about this giant quilt that I'm making, but I've never actually shown the sewing machine itself and how it operates and what it is. And I thought that that would be an interesting topic. I have a number of antique Singer sewing machines. I only collect Singers, well, and collect in that, I mean, I don't have buckets of them. I don't have like, a warehouse full of sewing machines. I have 8, I think, including my mom's that, well, it was my grandmother's that I learned to sew on when I was little, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But first I want to talk about this particular model. This is my daily driver, my workhorse. I have had this since, I think I bought it in 91, something like that. Turns out it's from 1891. And I want to show you a few of the features. There are other videos that are in much more depth on how to use them and thread the needle and all that. But I thought that you'd be interested to see my Singer sewing machine collection. And I have a special treat in just a moment. But first, let's look at this guy. So this is my sturdy workhorse. The decals aren't in spectacular condition, but that's because it's very well used and loved. How you can tell the age on these is looking at the serial number, which is stamped into the metal, usually right about here. Sometimes there's 2 numbers, but the one in the base is going to be your number. This particular type is called a fiddle base because it looks like, the body of a fiddle. It is called a medium, not a family model, so it's a little bit bigger. It is, pretty big. You can see by, hand for scale. There are much smaller models, so it's kind of a beefy one, which is good because that gives me space between here to be able to fit a lot of bulky fabric if I'm working on something larger. It's also called a vibrating shuttle number 2 model. And that's because of the type of bobbin that it has, where when it turns, this shuttle vibrates back and forth. As you can see, there's bobbin thread in here. Here is the bobbin. And it's a long type bobbin, not the round type bobbin. This shuttle enables it to go, through the stitches that the needle is putting down inside there and making a true locked stitch, not a chain stitch. Here's the bobbin winding mechanism. You engage it on the belt. This is a leather belt. It's a replacement belt. The old one just, they get old. Thread spindle. Here's an oiling hole, and you do want to keep these well oiled. A good 3-in-1 oil works really well. If you take the leather band off of here, then you can lift this up on its hinges. Here's hinges here and here. You can lift this whole head up and get underneath here to oil it for the oiling points. Here's another oiling point. There's a lot of oiling points, and the manual actually shows you how and where. It actually, the manual recommends you use sperm whale oil. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing that, but in 1891, that was considered the best machine oil that you could use on your lovely Singer sewing machine. The design is called, and I don't know that Singer called it this. Singer did name some of their decal designs. The Sewing Machine Collectors Society has called it on their website Flowers and Scrolls. Again, it's not in fantastic condition here, but I didn't buy it for this. This kind of captured me, but it was my first treadle sewing machine. And honestly, unless there's some reason to not use this style of machine, it's so simple to use. It's always there. When the power's out, I can sew. Here's how you adjust the length of the stitches. There's very little to go wrong with it. It's 100 and some odd years old, and it's still working perfectly well. A little surface rust, but hey, if you were 100 some odd years old, you'd have a little surface rust too. But now it's road trip time, because I found something yesterday that I couldn't believe I had actually laid eyes on and actually had the money to get. Thank you, Patreon supporters. You're going to enjoy this. Here we go. All right, here we are in the town of Groveland, closing in on my wonderful new acquisition. I hope, if it's still there, it was there yesterday. I I hope it's still there today. Here we are, Furniture Barn. Okay, and here it is, the Model 21 drawing room cabinet, and this is from 1909. You can tell by the serial number. This is the Egyptian green or Lotus sewing machine. I can't believe it. I've never seen one before in the wild. They're very rare and hard to find, even on YouTube. This opens up to reveal where the belt and flywheel are. And, hey, secret compartment. This opens up so you can access this whole mechanism for oiling or anything else you may need to be doing in there. Over here we have all the drawers. Lovely little drawers. This opens out this way. These go in that way, and now you're ready to sew. There's the treadle. This is a big spring housing, and I will show you what that's for. And that is for lowering, believe it or not, the drop head of this machine. This button, you push this button right here, and the whole head goes down. Let's see if I can get it. Okay, so we press the button, push down. There we go. And this whole thing lowers right down into here. How great is that? Now apparently there's another model of this which you can actually take this whole thing out, and it's a portable hybrid. This is not that model, but this spring enables you to raise and lower this heavy piece of equipment in and out of the cabinet. And hey presto, what sewing machine? There's no sewing machine here. It's just a lovely cabinet. This should also have, and there it is. I saw a YouTube video about that this is in here to keep this from springing back up, you know, and possibly injuring somebody. Apparently that was a thing that could happen. Now the trick is, can I get this off of the base in order to move it to make it less heavy? Okay, I'm not familiar with this model. I have disengaged the belt by doing this lever here, which pulls it off the flywheel. But this bobbin winder is so close to the hand wheel that I can't get the belt off of the unit. I really don't want to have to take the belt apart, but I may have to. It arrived safely. I was able to use these tie downs here to kind of do a crisscross, put a blanket over it, and you know, very, very I literally just drove up the driveway at like 2 miles an hour just to be absolutely sure. And one neat thing I discovered while I had it in the car, as I was using the rear tie downs, I actually noticed that there's this little door back here that opens up that also can enable you to get at the treadle mechanism. Open that, and there's doors here for if you need doors for some reason. The head of it, I took off. It's at least 25 pounds just by itself. So in order to make this cabinet less heavy with all that metal in there, the flywheel and the foot plate and the spring and all of that was heavy enough without also having to deal with this. At least, like I say, 25 pounds of solid cast iron. It's heavy. Then I had to take the leather belt off. It's fine. It just, you know, attaches to itself, once I get it in there. So there we are. There is that lovely new acquisition, which I am over the moon. Oh my goodness. I can't even believe how the great price I got on it too, on top of everything else. So yay. And now I think it's time for a tour of some of my other sewing machines in my collection. I don't have them all available. 2 of them are being used as nightstands. And I don't want to clear all the stuff off my nightstands, not doing it. So I'll show you the first one that I ever used, and then a couple over in the cottage too. Okay, let's begin our tour. This is the 1899 VS2 model, meaning vibrating shuttle. bobbin here, and it does work. I have not really used it for the main reason that it's missing the faceplate here, which can be bought on eBay. It's not always easy to find some of these older parts, but it can be done. Here's the serial number here, so I was able to date that. You can see here's the same shuttle as in my workhorse in my studio. And it's a little bit, it sticks just a little, but it's, you know, it with a little bit of lube, it'll be fine. It has a couple of things. This needs to be bent back slightly, but otherwise it's in really nice condition. This is, again, the what's called the Victorian decal style. Came with a box of little goodies, and this is what's called the coffin lid type box cover that just goes over the top of the machine when you're not using it, and the handle does fold back flat so you can put the case on it. Now here is my oldest machine. This is from 1884. This is a new family model, and the design is called Acanthus Leaves. It does have the red and green variant. The green is since gone someplace, but the red is still there. You can see the red jewels there. If you have one that's this old, the factory number is on the bottom where you would expect to see the model number. The model number is stamped above that, so it can cause some confusion as to which is the model number and which is the factory number. And it has, again, the coffin style box lid as opposed to the curved style, which I'll show you in a minute. This one does not work. It's never worked actually, but this plate, both of these plates to reveal the bobbin down inside there are frozen. So these need to be worked on and gotten loose so that this can be opened up so that it can actually be used. I mean, it does, you can see it turns just a wee bit, but then stops because there's, you know, some kind of blockage inside there. You can flip this out and actually lift the whole thing up if you need to get in there for oiling it or cleaning. So that holds that down. That's kind of neat. Another neat feature is that it does have holes in the top of this for a belt. So you could use this either as a hand cranked machine or as a belt driven machine, and the belt would have gone underneath in this, you know, protective housing here. This early on, Singer did not put its name on the back. They didn't start putting Singer on the back as well until later on, after 1887 is when they started doing that. So this is a class 12 type machine, aka the new family model. Okay, and here we have the Pheasant decal. Here's the Pheasant. I just really liked it because I thought these birds were pretty. It's, you know, different colors and such. I did get a replacement faceplate for it. I have not yet found the thread spindle for it. I just haven't bothered to do that yet. I did also replace the leather belt, so that's new. And you can tell by the bobbin winder, it's got the long style of bobbin. So it is the same type of shuttle as in the other one. It is a model 27, and we do know that from May 25th, 1905, sorry about that, I forgot to give the date, and there were 50,000 of these made. Not necessarily with this exact decal, but this model on that day, 50,000 of these were made. I really like this one because of the cabinet detail. This is what really attracted me to this one in particular. It's just got a lovely, lovely cabinet detail, a place for, you know, spools of thread. This great cabinet with the decorations on it. It's got 6 drawers instead of my workhorse only has 1 drawer. This has 7 if you count the thread and gadget drawer. So it's kind of got all the bells and whistles, right? It's the big fancy model of this type of this year. So, and I knew when I saw it, I was like, that's the fancy one. So yeah, heck yeah, I want to get that. And it was also like half off at the thrift store, the same place I just got the one I got earlier today. It seems to be my lucky spot lately for finding these great old machines. Now this one is a popular model. People are pretty familiar with this one. This is the Sphinx or Memphis decal. That is the official name given to it by Singer. It is, again, missing the faceplate, so I haven't used this one. I haven't replaced the belt on it either. You can see by the long shank here of the bobbin winder, that's your dead giveaway that it is the long vibrating shuttle type. Once again, let's see, this is from January 1st, 1908. You can tell that the outer cabinet has been refinished. This is the original patina. There were 50,000 of these made. It's a model 27-4, which again does have that vibrating shuttle. This has got some nice drawers too. You know, I like the drawers. That's part of why I got it, because I thought the cabinet was pretty. And here's how you put one of these away into its cabinet. If it had a belt, you'd need to disengage the belt because you have to pull it up. Ooh, and it's heavy. And let it swing down. Gentle, careful. Put that back, put that down, and you've got a lovely piece of furniture. Now, this poor thing is in a bit of a state. I actually found this laying on the ground at the dump. I have since taken it apart. The main plate is here that was covering this. I've taken that off. Here's this pretty faceplate that goes right here. But I have this taken apart for cleaning and to figure out what that is. It's some kind of early electric, terrifying looking thing. I am unlikely to actually use this. I don't know if I can fix it. It was laying outside in the weather, and actually, like, when I picked it up to bring it home, it's like, oh, you poor baby, let me adopt you. And like all this water came pouring out of it. So yeah, I don't know if it's salvageable. But one thing that I wanted to tell you about this guy in particular is that there is no obvious place that the serial number lives. Again, I took this plate off of here to get to the guts. Yeah, no serial number. Where's the serial number? Hey, you might be asking yourself, how am I supposed to date this thing if there's no serial number? Aha. But it's hiding underneath. It's hiding here. So if you have one of these, this is from March 18th, 1930. It's model 101. There were 10,000 of these made. The design is known as knots and rectangles. You know, the rectangles part being there. And I thought it was pretty because it was in silver. Most Singers have gold, but I thought that the silver was unusual. I hadn't seen this model before. You can see by the size of the wheel, this isn't meant to have, have you starting and stopping it by the wheel. It's just if you kind of need to give it a helpful push, but even then, look how close this bobbin winder is to this wheel. You can absolutely catch your finger in there. So that's probably why it's not that popular of a model. And you can tell by the bobbin winder that it's the horizontal short type of bobbin. No longer are we in the big long vibrating shuttle type. This is the little small guy. As you can also see by the shape of where the bobbin goes. It's that little circle like most machines of today use. And it does have a light. There's still a broken piece of light bulb in there, which I haven't yet got out, which I will be working on. And someone has tragically dropped it. It's got a big old dent there. It's in sad shape. I may actually end up using it for parts. I don't know yet. But that's the story on that. And that's how to find the serial number on this guy. And here it is, the model that started it all. This is, well, it's mine, but then it was my mom's, but then before that it was probably my grandmother's, who I never knew. But I learned to sew on this machine back when I was, I don't know, 6, something like that, 1972. So yeah, this is my machine. This is a model 128. The design of this one is known as La Vencedora. I don't know why, but okay, neat. It's got kind of a shield. It's red and green. It's kind of a pretty design. The surface is kind of crazed. The varnish that's over the black Japanning which is a type of baked on glaze, as kind of, over time just sort of started to crackle and deteriorate. But you know what? I love this machine because it has such great memories. I used to sew dollhouse curtains. That was like how I learned to sew, is on this machine. It is electric and has an interesting way of powering the electricity. It has this big metal bar that goes in this hole right here, and then you just use your knee to push on the bar to power, to tell the motor back here to turn itself on and run the machine. So I think that's a pretty neat thing. It's I absolutely remember using that. The light, last time I used it, it worked. I have not used this in years and years and years. It probably should absolutely be serviced and looked at and taken apart. I mean, the belt's like gonna shatter in 2 seconds if I try and use it. That is the plug that goes into the wall to power it. I don't know where this is. It was in the lid. I don't know where the lid is. I mean, I don't know where the power is gone. Oh, the date is December 8th, 1925. And this is known as a bentwood lid. These were the later model. It's just simply steamed and bent over to form a shape. That comes out and gets stored up inside the lid. One more nice feature with this is, this is a little bit stiff. I gotta oil that or something. Is this neat little push button that helps push the shuttle out of the out of the bobbin area, so you don't have to like dig your fingers around in there. That's a nice touch. Thanks, Singer. Now, as for how to use this guy, very simple. And here I am digging the bobbin out. So to wind the bobbin, I just wrap the thread around it a few times. The instruction manual says to like trap it between the end and this cup that it sits in. And I just find that to be fiddly. I just wrap it around a few times and it's fine. Just fits right in there very nicely. This is already wound, so I'm not actually, going to thread it, but ordinarily it would be going through these two guides over to the thread, and this has been pulled forward so that it's engaging with the belt, and then you're going to disengage the head so it's not sewing nothing while you're, winding your bobbin. Let me pull this out of here and show you. It's got it only goes one way. If you try and do it the wrong direction, it's not going to catch correctly. You want it so that the thread is coming off this direction, because it's going to engage with this slot and slip under the tensioner, and then come out where it should oughta. So you just slide that in there. And the thread just goes down there. Hold that so it doesn't spin. Pull down, and you'll feel a little pop as it goes into where it's going to go for the slot. And then, hey presto, look at that. It's threaded itself and made itself ready to go. And you just slip the shuttle right in there. Just like pretty much any sewing machine, you're going to hold down on the upper thread, give it a spin, so that it can catch the bobbin thread for that first stitch. If you want, you can use scissors and grab that loop. And now you are ready to sew. Slide that cover back over and you're ready to go. You have your feed dog, just like a modern machine. It feeds the fabric in. Presser foot, just like a modern machine. In this case, though, you get it started. You never, ever, ever want to go backwards, because it can jam the thread. It can even break your needle. It's just bad. It'll get tangled up, and that little slot that the bobbin thread went down into, it can fall back into there and make this big knotted mess on the back of your fabric. Ask me how I know that. So I like to get my feet offset, actually, when I'm down here, like my right foot or whatever your dominant foot is on the back, and then a counterweight basically on the front, or yeah, I guess the front of the treadle, the end towards you, and with your hand on the wheel, give it a pull to get it started, right? So it's going the right direction, the correct direction. And as you're doing that, again, you're using this foot as a counterbalance, So you're really kind of pushing with your dominant foot and letting the other one just sort of act as a counterbalance. And there you go. This does have a thread cutter. I don't like using it just because it's so old that I don't want to like literally wear even more of a groove in the thread cutter. I just make sure the needle's all the way up, give it a little pull, and there we go. Ta-da! If it starts making a funny noise, it's like, wait, why does it sound like that? That doesn't sound right. It sounds really clunky. Open this up and check that that thread hasn't slipped down into that groove like that. You don't want that. You do want that. That's bad. That's good. So I hope you've enjoyed my little tour of my sewing machine collection. There's other ones I haven't shown, again, because they're like under stuff like lamps, and I don't want to dig those out. So hopefully you found this educational and interesting. Leave some comments for me if you would, please. Let me know what you want me to cover next. I have some ideas and some plans. Until next time, happy sewing, hopefully. And I'll see you next time on Willow's Vintage Homestead. Bye.